G'day, how you going? The video today is looking at the drivetrain on this bike and assessing whether it's reasonable or I need to do something. So there's two elements in the drivetrain. One is the condition of the sprockets, front and rear, and the chain. In other words, when I say the condition of the chain, how much is it worn, how much is it stretched, is it beyond its stretch limit? Because it is, if it is, you need to replace the chain. And there's ways of checking that, which I'm going to go through on this bike now for myself. And also, whenever you change the chain, you should change both the sprockets. The teeth wear, and putting a new chain onto sprockets with worn teeth is just a silly idea. It's just going to wear the chain. So that's the first element. Is the chain still in good condition? Is it got some more usable life in it? So I'm going to have a look at that. The other thing, obviously, is the chain well adjusted? And that's about how much slack there is. And of course, if it's not well adjusted, and I actually feel like it's probably pretty close to it, you can actually loosen off your back axle and tighten your chain by moving the rear axle backwards. Okay, but firstly, a few words about the life of the chain and the condition of the chain. I just might move this camera in a little bit closer here. So look, I think the quickest way to think of it is you shouldn't be able to get that chain off the sprocket like that. If you can pull that chain away from the sprocket, actually see daylight between the sprocket teeth and the chain, you know your chain is stretched too much. The other aspect of the rear drivetrain is called the cush-drive. So there's some rubber blocks inside the hub, which actually, when you change gears or suddenly jolt the bike a bit, they've got a little bit of give, and they take up that give, so it's not a real jolt on the bike. It's called the cush-drive, and they're basically some rubber blocks inside. But if the cush-drive eventually gets worn as well, and if that's worn, what you can tend to do is feel movement between. You can actually move the sprocket relative to your wheel, and there's no movement of this one. I've got a video I'm going to upload soon of a very worn cush-drive that I replaced in my daughter's bike a year or so ago, but this one is fine. So you'd have some movement of the sprocket relative to the wheel if the cush-drive needed replacing. Okay, let me come back here. So my overall assessment there is that this chain's okay. I think I've already had a look at the shape of the sprocket teeth here, and they don't look terribly worn to me. So my guess is not that long before I bought this bike, it's had a new chain and new sprockets. But what I'm going to do is do what Triumph recommend, is actually to take your chain guard off and your front sprocket cover off, and actually from the midpoint of your chain, I actually recommend hanging a 10 to 20 kilogram weight. Now that's a 10 kilogram dumbbell there. I'm going to suspend that off the chain to really put some weight down. So you can see that really puts some stretch in the top leg of the chain. And then they have a tolerance limit. It's called the 21 pin tolerance limit. So I'm going to put that weight on. I'm going to count 21 pins and measure the difference between the first and the last. And if that's within a certain tolerance limit, then Triumph will take the position that the chain is still within its serviceable limit. So I'll have a look at that. What else? And I'll also measure basically what slack there is in this chain. So once again, you take the midpoint of the chain and just measure the distance between at the bottom and when you push it up like that. So for this particular Triumph, the tolerance there is 35 to 40 millimeters. My guess it's within that, but I'll check. The only other thing here, there's a runner that the chain runs along at the top. I'm just going to inspect that and check it looks okay. If that doesn't look too cut up and worn, then I'll give that the thumbs up as well. Okay, but firstly I'm just going to give me a bit more room to play with, I'm just going to take off the chain guard and front sprocket cover so I can do a proper check. Get on to that now. holding the brake lines away from the bike. So now we've got a good length of the chain exposed. So what I'm going to do for a start is just attach this weight on here. Now look, have a look at this. This is some of the lovely road grime that was inside the front sprocket cover on the bike. Lovely, isn't it? Okay, that was obviously cleaned regularly. Let's have a bit of a look. You can see there's a lot of grime. A lot of grime in under here, a lot of road dirt. I'm going to clean all that out, obviously. Don't worry about this thing hanging there. That's my USB connector that I've got to run up to the handlebars at some point. Yeah, so a lot of gunk in the back there to clean out. So I'll set about attaching this weight to the chain now. I think I might go and see if I can grab some hooks. Couldn't find any hooks. A bit of wire will do the job. So I want to support this from a couple of points. And the aim is you actually measure this 21 point length at a few points and then average it. So let's try something like this. So roughly the midpoint, I think somewhere around here. So if we go a little bit on either side. And then spread this evenly over the hand of the thing. And if I pop that somewhere around. Not the most elegant thing in the world, but that's putting 10 kilograms weight on there. So 21 pins. Let's take it from this one here. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's our last one there, right above that joint. 320. It's about 320. So let's have a look. Spot on 320. And strangely enough, the 21 pin length that's acceptable for Triumph is 321. Would you believe it? So it looks to me like that's within tolerance, but just. Within tolerance, but just. Okay, I'm going to do this a couple more times. So I'll detach my weight here. I need to go to the gym today. So I'm just going to move the chain around a little bit, tie it on again, hook on the weight, and I'll take 3 readings and we'll average them. There we are. 21. To that one, that is spot on. I'd say 319. That guy's 319. And let's wind him around again. There we go. Okay, let's count them off again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 319. Have to take my word for it. It's a bit hard for me to get the camera in there. But I've got a 320, 319, 319. So an average just a little bit above 319, which is within the Triumph 21 pin stretchable limit of 321. So yeah, we'll give that a final pass in terms of chain stretch. So that sort of matches my initial check here that when your chain has is reasonably well tightened, that you can't pull it off the back. Okay, great. Let's just take this guy off. That can go back to the gym. So while I've got a ruler here, the next thing I want to check is chain movement at the midpoint. So I'd say the midpoint between the axles, so that's 600, 300 is about here. So this is about our midpoint. I'm going to get my portable length ruler here. Okay. So that, at its lowest point, is 78. I'll pop it up. it's about 40 to 78. Yep, so it's from the same estimate, it's about the same. It's about 38. If anything, that's it's within tolerance, but it's on the looser end. So for now, I'm going to give it a tick, but I'll be conscious of that when I check my chain next time, that it might need a little bit of a tighten. Yeah, 35 to 40, the tolerance limit. Okay, that's 2 ticks for the chain wear. Look, while I'm here again, just to check the movement of that, the rear sprocket against the wheel, there's absolutely no movement there. This cush-drive feels good. Okay, and let me just bring the camera in a little bit closer. And what we're looking for is the symmetry of these sprockets. I think, for me, I mean, they're not brand new sprockets, but this chain has still got acceptable wear, and I think they are commensurate with that, from what I can tell. So I'm going to give them the tick as well. Okay, I guess last but not least, have a look at some of the road gunk that's in there behind that front sprocket. And here the same on the front sprocket, you can see the actual teeth are, well, they're not perfect and they're not brand new, but they're certainly relatively new sprockets. I think they're fine. Got to clean a lot of that gunk out while I've got this off. So I'll do that now. Similarly, a lot of the rubbish that's in behind the back sprocket here. I'll give this a bit of clean up the chain. And yep, I'll call it a job done once all that's nice and clean, because I now know the chain, the cush-drive. Oh, sorry. Last but not least, is that hard rubber chain runner up the top, which looks in good condition. Yeah, I wouldn't mind betting that's been replaced relatively recently. Yep, that's a pass. Okay, well, last to be done is a pretty serious old cleaning job here now. I've got some degreaser. I've got some actual chain cleaner. Never been too sure what the difference between actual chain cleaner and degreaser is, but I'll stick to the chain cleaner on the chain, and then the degreaser for other parts that need a bit of grime off, and then finally, of course, some chain lube. So I'm not going to go through how to clean a chain. You can sort of look what I do, rather. There's plenty of stuff on the web on how to clean bike chains. But yeah, I'll give this a bit of a clean up. I'll start to get rid of some of this grime and crap out of here. And hopefully when I put it all back together and put the chain guard back on, it's a lot cleaner bike, and it'll definitely be a cleaner chain with some nice lube on it. It'll be clean all around the place, and I'll have the confidence that the chain is adjusted within tolerance and is within the wear tolerance. So, okay, I'll get on to a bit of a solid clean. Okay, well, after a mammoth cleaning job there, and I'm now cleaned up as well, everything's looking pretty good, pretty nice and clean. I haven't re-oiled the chain yet, but everything here is looking really nice. Oh, there's my chain guard, just fell off. Things are looking much cleaner here, all cleaned out within, underneath the chain guard and the front sprocket cover. It's as clean as a whistle now, so sort of feeling a bit comfortable about putting them all back together. So I'll do that now. I'll just put the chain covers back on, sprocket covers, and then I'll lube the chain and the job is done. All these little sprocket cover screws, bolts are a 10 Newton meter tightening torque, so not very much. I'll just give them a little tweak now. Last but not least, okay, that's on. Okay, well, all done. It was a dirty job, but it was a job that really needed to be done. It's a real reminder that when you've got bikes that are fully fared bikes like this particularly, if they've been ridden off the dirt, as I try and compete with my neighbour's leaf blower, yeah, a lot of gunk, road grime, and also just oil and mixed with stones and stuff can get caught up in little nooks and crannies, so it's really good to clean that out. But look, the drive chain on this bike I'm pretty happy with. My testing today has shown that the chain is within stretch limits, so it's not a new chain, but it's certainly not a chain that needs replacing yet. The cush drives are in good condition. The chain has been tightened reasonably well, and I think it's all ready to go. The last remaining job is for me to put a bit of chain lube, which I'll do now. But yeah, as far as the drive chain check on this bike goes, I'm happy with it. Things look good, and I'm going to progress with that and give it a tick. So look, hopefully that was useful to some of you who might be doing the same sort of job and the same task. And for the rest of you and everyone else, safe motorcycling, take care of yourself, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.